Hey, welcome to BreitWerks. What are we working on today? This is a 1974 condenser fan motor. You can see it's a little tight, but the bigger problem is I depinned the connector because I couldn't get anything, continuity on these wires. So we're going to take this apart and see if we can fix the motor or if we have to replace it. The downside is on these old ones, they don't use clips, they use rivets. So we're gonna have to drill out some rivets to get the body apart so we can get to the motor. So we're gonna get on with it and we'll show you how it goes. Well, I do believe we have found our culprit. So this guy was in the same vicinity as the battery, right, that caused all the corrosion on the car anyway. But I think now I understand why we're not getting any continuity. So we're going to try and clean up the wires first, clean all this out, see if anything changes. So this front condenser blower motor has taken on a life of its own. What a saga. So I've destroyed 2 squirrel cages trying to make one good part. So this one was the original, and you can see trying to use heat to get it off the shaft. I got it off the shaft, but I was never able to get the bolt out, the set screw out. I drilled through it, everything, you can't get there from here. This one, in the process of taking it off, it just popped the sheet metal. All right, it's just thin sheet metal. So the new motor I ordered, can't use it because we don't have a squirrel cage. Charlie to the rescue. Check out this really sweet unit that I did not know existed until I ran into this problem. So, kind of neat. And yeah, we gotta figure out how to get that onto the original bracket, back into the original housing with new rivets. This isn't a clip one. The clip ones are easy, the rivet ones are a little bit harder. Not only that, but I was lamenting a little bit about the price of this unit. And then when I opened the box, lo and behold, Charlie already included a fused link for the fan. This is one of the fans that when it burns up or locks up, it overheats and it's not fused. So right in front of the gas tank. So we usually add a fuse, but he sends a harness. So once you look at that, you go, oh, wait a minute. This actually is not a bad deal. And that's a hell of a lot easier than trying to do this. Now, granted, these are 50-year-old fans, so some of the newer stuff may come off a little bit easier, but yeah, this is a great idea. So we're gonna get that in here, and then we'll get it in the car. But if we go along and we find anything interesting, I will stop and make sure that I show you guys. All right, we got our fan mounted. Always run the test before you finish stuff up. Wow, works pretty good. All right, we're gonna get some rivets in and we'll go from there. But we've got this guy bolted in using all of his original hardware. So that's good. We've got the original wiring harness that we cleaned up, and we've got this fused link in there. So we're gonna get on it. All right, we got this little bugger back together, and one of the nice little surprises that was in the box that came with the new fan was this pad, double-sided, or I guess one-sided, but I usually use gummy fledge, and that's just sticky and nasty. This was super easy, and Griff puts it in the box, you cut it to place. These older boxes, they don't have the foot like the newer box does, so we might end up just kind of stuffing some gummy fledge in there once it's installed, but it's good stuff. So very happy to have found that. One other thing, for those of you that are using this as a tutorial and not as just pure entertainment, if I were to do this again, I would not use rivets. I use the big head rivets because the plastic is old and brittle. And then after I put my first one in, I said, oh shoot, you know what? This is the last time that it's probably gonna work like that. I would probably go find hardware and use bolts and or screws and nuts to hold this back together. I mean, the rivets are gonna work fine, but it would be a little easier. For the later model guys, you're gonna have a clip here, and I think 2 clips over here. Super easy to get those off, get this thing apart. But this is for the early model stuff where these guys were riveted together. I guess Porsche said, hey, you're gonna service the whole unit, not just the motor inside. But we're gonna go put this in the car and see if we can put power to it and see what happens. But yeah, we worry about all these little air leaks, right? And there's these jokers out on Facebook that are like, oh, you don't even need that fan. It doesn't change anything. Well, Facebook is not the place to go get your technical information, folks. I actually did a test after I saw that joker put that comment out there. 50 PSI on the high side. 50 PSI on the high side. If you unplug this and you run your AC, the pressures go up by 50 PSI. You turn this back on, they come down by 50 PSI. And, you know, someone's going to argue, oh, it works just fine. Sure, but what kind of stress are you putting on that compressor that it doesn't need because Porsche put this in the system? So DIY guys sometimes don't realize all of the stuff, the other systems that are impacted. So as long as they're getting cold air out of the vents, they're like, oh, this is fantastic. Yeah, and when your compressor breaks down prematurely and you've got to replace a $1,000 compressor because you refuse to spend a couple $100 putting a new fan in, okay. But to each their own. All right, enough of me pontificating. We're gonna go get this in the car. Hey, what's that noise? That noise is our successfully installed front condenser fan. So it blows the air out of the bottom. And like I said, about 50 PSI. I can feel the air coming out of the bottom, sucks in cool air from behind the bumper, and then blows it out of there. So we're gonna call this a success. Thanks for watching. Check us out at BreitWerks.com.